So one, I want you to start by finding the occipital protuberances on the skull. I want you to see underneath or sort of through people's hair and scalp, if we can find those nuchal lines on the skull. As you go across, you do come across ligamentum nuchae. Do you feel that flick out from under your fingers? So that's okay. But we just want to find those nuchal lines, because right on those and just above those are the insertion points for our suboccipital muscles. 2, coming down the back, right in between the occipital protuberances, we'll find the posterior tubercle of C1. We're not going to push in the whole stack there. We're going to come down and we're going to find C2, 3, 4, 5.
Is it hard to feel them because the ligament nuchae covers them?
Yeah, there's a little. You can actually shift that a little bit out of the way.
Okay.
But you can feel the difference between when you're in between them and when you're actually on them. Okay. And 7. Now, if you're not sure if you're on 7 or T1, because there's always this like, yeah, it's kind of a sticky out bit, but is that C7 or T1? Because they both protrude quite a lot. Okay. To differentiate the two, can you lift your head up for me? And back down again. So C7 will anteriorly translate when somebody goes into extension. T1 won't. So if you've got your fingers on the 2 vertebrae that protrude the most, and you get someone to lift their head, go again for me, back down. So this one very much moves away from my fingers. That one, my fingers don't stay in contact with it as much because its position changes, but it certainly doesn't slide away from my fingers the way that C7 one does. So actually just working down and locating each of the spinous processes. Next. Were you here this morning?
No, I wasn't.
You're another face. I'm like, there's another one. Hang on. What's your name?
Nicole.
Hi, Nicole. How are you? I'm Jo. Have we met?
No.
There we go. We have now. Okay. Sorry, I'll just get all your hair out of the way. All right. So, occipital protuberance at the base of the skull, follow it round, come across to the mastoid process on each side. That's all right. Come anteriorly to that. What are we on? Transverse process of C1. Thank you, Romeo. That's very good. All right. So let's see if we can then track the transverse processes all the way down. So C1, C2, and then they're a lot shorter. So I've got to go in kind of a long way to find those and be sitting on top of those. Not trying to squeeze the bejesus out of these, so I'm not really pushing. Gentle fingers feel more. All right. C2, C3, C4. Do you want to pop your arms on the armrest for me? So I promise I'll make your hair do what it's supposed to do. C5, C6, and C7 we've got to go underneath this upper trapezius muscle and be in right next to there to actually get to that. All right. Layers of muscle. It's all right. Layers of muscle to track our way through. Upper trapezius fibres run like that. Nice and easy to feel. Underneath that, we've got down probably in this is the angle of your neck. Probably the next thing to locate down through here is
If I
levator.
just
Sorry.
undrape a little bit.
Yeah. Sorry, can you see?
Yep.
Yep. Is levator scap, and we can feel the angle as it goes down to the superior angle of the scapula, and we track it based on the angle of the fibres. All right. Up in this neck region again, underneath trapezius, so we've got to work our way through that from the sides of C3 through to C6. We've got splenus capitis coming up through here, and again an easy way, to feel that, and I'm sorry if I'm blocking you from seeing, if you work on the side that's away from you, just lift that away a little bit, and what you'll find is that there's these fibres that just run upwards. They're the way.
Is that a good way to treat that muscle? Because I'm just looking at it.
It's not a bad way. Normally when you treat, or quite often when you treat, you might stabilise one end of it.
Yeah.
But in terms of actually at this stage, I'm just wanting you to find it. So it's just through trapezius onto those fibres, and we're just on that posterior portion of the transverse process. And sorry, I'll try and get my hand out of the way while I do that. We're just tracking those fibres as they come upwards. All right, splenus capitis, longissimus capitis, and what was the other one that we went through? Semispinalis capitis, thank you. Underneath those, we come into this area of the suboccipital region, and if you remember, we've got rectus capitis posterior minor that is very, very centrally. So, and what I'm not doing is I'm not letting my thumb come medial to that. There's an area in between those. If my thumb sinks into that, it's very much a triangle around my thumb with the fibres running like that, where there feels like there's very little tissue. So I'm not going to push in any great big way to that, but either side of that, I can certainly push into rectus capitis minor and major, and often there's quite a big difference in the tension between the bigger muscles like trapezius, levator scap, that are largely involved in movement generally, and the suboccipitals. So on our patient who's volunteered today, she doesn't have a whole stack of tension in her trapezius, and then I get to this, steel cable feeling, doesn't have a lot of movement. Can you feel that? So big difference in tension with those suboccipital muscles. Some people still have a lot of tension in their trapezius and their levator scap and splenus capitis, cervicis, semispinalis, longissimus, but some people not as much. All right, and you just sink through that, and then you just get to this area that feels quite restricted. Have we got a pillow in here? Awesome. I'm going to get you to roll onto your back. So can you hang on? There's an order.